Marvel Comics has been around since 1939. Marvel counts among its characters such well-known properties as Spider-Man, Iron Man, Captain America, Wolverine, Thor, and Hulk, showcased in blockbuster movies like The Avengers. We've collected data from 3 sources: the official Marvel site, the fan-maintained Marvel Wikia site, and the official Marvel API. Listed comprehensively on the Marvel Wikia, Marvel has over 40,000 characters in total. These characters are organized by things like religion, gender, organizations, and affiliations. Searching for your favorite character is a simple lookup on any of the sites, but to understand the relationships between characters and a sense of the Marvel Universe overall can be daunting even to the most stalwart of fans. In order to make this process easier and more fun and intuitive, we parsed and annotated the data from the 1,400 characters listed on the official Marvel site. These 1,400 characters appear in a staggering 30,000 comics and are affiliated with over 1,000 organizations. We have limited our dataset for demo purposes to the top 250 most appearing characters. Let's start by exploring a character of interest, Spider-Man. Notice how selecting him makes his detail card pop up on the right and reveals all of his connections, which we can see are many. Related character slices are highlighted with a yellow outline. On hover, this connection will be a white fill. Connections are of 2 types, standard and core. Standard is anyone who has co-appeared with Spider-Man in a comic book. Core is someone who has some additional connection, such as a familial relation. However, because this is a comic world, familial includes things not only like brothers, parents, and step relations, but also clones, or alternate reality connections. Core is encoded as a purple color in the relationship line. The thickness of the line also encodes the number of co-appearances. Thicker lines mean the 2 characters have appeared more often together. Browsing a few of Spider-Man's connections, we can see who they are connected to. If we find these number of connections to be a bit overwhelming, we use the connections threshold slider to increase the number of co-appearances required for the line to be displayed. Note that core connections are always displayed. By clicking again, we enter core selection mode. Here we get more information about those core connections of Spider-Man's. Each bubble is encoded underneath with the number of times that character has co-appeared with Spider-Man. A core connection may not necessarily have any co-appearances in the set of comics that are included in our database. Mary Jane and Aunt May are obvious connections, but Spider-Girl is an interesting one that perhaps we didn't know about. Hovering over her, we see that she is an alternate timeline child of Mary Jane and Peter Parker. Because she is a core connection that has co-appearances, there is also displayed beneath a detail pane a random comic in which both characters appear. Amazing Spider-Man Family 2008, number 1. Now that we know a little bit more about Spider-Man, let's put him in context. We'll restore all connections, color code by number of appearances, and sort by number of appearances, which we can choose to display ascending or descending. We find that Spider-Man is actually the most appearing character. Scanning over other popular and less popular characters, we see how many more connections the popular characters have, as expected. We can dig into even more interesting attributes by color coding by gender and sorting by gender. Because we have implemented a stable sort, any categorical sort after a quantitative sort puts the items in subsorted order. So we see here that we now have each gender subsorted by each character's number of appearances. In this view, we have a sense of the relationships between these sorted categories. But to have a better view of the appearances value, we can switch to the bars view. Note how our selection is maintained across modes. We can see now that while both males and females have a long tail distribution with a few characters who have a very high number of appearances, the females have a much lower peak, which is in fact equal to about this far down on the number of males. If we scan the most appearing characters in each gender, we find Spidey, Iron Man, Wolverine, Captain America, Hulk. On the females, we find Storm, Rogue, Black Widow, and Scarlet Witch. To explore another set of interesting attributes of our data, we can switch to sorting and color coding by year of introduction. There is a subset of the data that has an unknown year. The information wasn't listed in our source data. But starting with known years, we see an interesting pattern of introduction. There are notable clusters of highly appearing characters close together. Their appearances fall as their intro year becomes more recent, as the more recently introduced characters haven't had as long to appear in comics. As we've shown, you can sort by gender, year of introduction, nationality, and number of appearances. You can color code by gender, year of introduction, and number of appearances. And now you can go explore additional connections and insights for yourself.